Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology. This reading is for the full moon in Cancer, which happens essentially tomorrow, Monday the 13th of January. It happens at, let's see, when did I print this out for? It doesn't have the time on here. Oh, it does too. I have to read military time, as we call it. It's 5:27 p.m. New York time. So if you're, in Europe or east of me, it's going to be, see, that sounds crazy to me. It's going to be later, but you've already had it because it's later there. So time baffles me, sorry. But anyway, there is a lot going on in the sky. And so I'm just going to focus on a few things because there's just so much. And I'm having the ear problem again, so I'm going to have to talk more quietly because it's booming in my head. I hate that. Okay, so we have the sun is in Capricorn at 24 degrees, and I'm rounding up because they're actually at 23 degrees, 59 minutes, so, and 49 seconds. So essentially, it's 24 degrees. Cancer is the full moon. Full moon is when the sun and moon are opposite each other. It's a time of culmination, so it's kind of the end of a cycle, not maybe the exact end, but close. It's also sometimes sheds a light on something that hitherto was unconscious. And the full moon in Cancer is extremely emotional. And we have something very interesting happening tonight because the full moon is conjunct Mars. They're only 3 degrees apart. Mars is in Cancer, where he doesn't particularly like to be. So this makes it Mars rules your physical body, your desires, your sexuality, and in a sense, your spirituality. And the moon is your emotions, and the mother. The sun is in Capricorn, which is the father. We have a lot going on about parental nurturing. How were you nurtured as a child? The reason I'm thinking that so much tonight is because of this Mars connection. Because the Mars is your body and your needs, your physical needs. And if you think about it, when's the time in your life when you have the most physical needs? Well, when you're a baby and a small child, because humans, unlike other animals, we are so dependent on being cared for when we're younger. And as I said, Cancer is all about nurturing. It's ruled by the moon. So the moon's in its own sign. It's very powerful, a very powerful full moon tonight. And I think it's going to bring up issues of where you were nurtured when you were younger and where you weren't. And especially, well, emotionally, but also physically because of this conjunction with Mars. And we also have Black Moon Lilith down here, which is in Libra, which is other people, relationships. She's opposite Chiron exactly, almost. Well, she's at 21 degrees. Chiron's at 19. In Aries, and Chiron's been stuck in Aries for a long time. And Chiron going through Aries, Chiron is your wounded healer. Chiron going through Aries is about discovering the wounds that prevent you from expressing your full self-identity. It's probing, where you've been hurt, and is that going to become your greatest strength? And how do you heal it? Can you heal it? And when it's opposite Black Moon Lilith, she is where you've been outcast, where you've been shamed. And this is in Leo, as I said, which is other people and relationships. Where have you been shamed by others? Maybe society, maybe just personal relationships. And it's interesting also because we have a positive aspect between the sun and Uranus. Uranus rules eccentric behavior. And it's in a good aspect to the sun. So you might be discovering some areas in which you're a little different from other people. And it's about accepting that rather than trying to please other people. Take those parts out of the shadows and say, you know what? Why would I feel ashamed of this? I want to heal that. There's a lot of healing going on here. And there's also a lot of ending a karmic cycle because we have Neptune at 27 degrees Pisces in good aspect to the sun and in good aspect to the moon. And Neptune coming to the end, and let's see, I wrote down when he moves out. I said this last time, March 30th of 2025, Neptune finally moves into Aries. So he's closing out the entire zodiac sign, because this is the 12th sign of the zodiac. And Saturn is also in Pisces, which is rather karmic also. And Saturn moves out of Pisces into Aries on May 25th. So next spring, this whole kind of cycle that we've been working on sort of comes to an end. And we're closing something out. And Venus and Saturn are together. So we're thinking about relationships. We're thinking about responsibilities. Who are we responsible for caring for? And where were we, Saturn can also rule, not neglect exactly, but coldness, lack. Where did we not get our needs met? What's the word I'm looking for Saturn? I can't think of it. It'll come to me. So this is involved too, and it's in Pisces, which again, the end of the zodiac sign, it's like figuring out, where did I not get my needs met? Where was I met with coldness? But also, what do I hang on to? What grounds me? Where do I find my own structure? This is about how you were nurtured, and also how do you nurture yourself going forward? And how have you been nurturing yourself? Okay? Because, not everybody had parents. Some of us had bad parents. There's all kinds of ways that we were nurtured. And I was going to read a poem, but maybe I'll just record that separately in case anybody knows. I just wrote this poem. It wasn't about mothers. I said this is, in the sign of Cancer, which rules mothers. I wrote a poem about fathers, but the sun is in the sign of the father. And so, there's both. There's Capricorn and Cancer energy involved in a full moon, in this full moon, because they're opposite each other, so the energy flows. Let's see, did I leave anything out? Talked about that. Oh, and the sun is in good aspect to Uranus, which helps us embrace some eccentric parts of ourselves, because Uranus rules the eccentric parts. And it can also rule sudden epiphanies and revelations. It's in an earth sign, so it's in Taurus, so I'm feeling like there's a lot of body energy involved here. You could be feeling your emotions very viscerally, and the moon rules the stomach, so that, if you're having stomach issues or just, and for some reason I'm feeling like even like if you didn't get touched enough as a child, that could be coming up, that desire just to have someone put their arms around you. Yeah, so it's a very emotional full moon. And let's see, anything else? Well, I'll think about it. Okay, I drew some really interesting cards, I think. I drew the Cross of Truth, but some of them came out with extras. But anyway, so I'm going to this I have to move this back. I don't have enough room somehow tonight. This fairy fell over earlier when I was shuffling, and I yelled and dropped some cards, and so that's why I wasn't sure what goes up here. I don't know why it scared me so much, but it just did. Okay, so this is us, the King of, you know what, I'm going to put this on one. Okay, this is us. Oh, there's more dust. The King of Pentacles is us. This is Capricorn energy. This is us. I think this is telling us to ground ourselves. Because if you don't, you could get swept away with all of this water energy, with the moon and Mars in Cancer, and Saturn and Neptune and Venus in Pisces. That's a lot of water energy. So ground yourself however you can, because you're going to need to. Okay? Try to feel your feelings, but don't get swept away by them. I think that's what it's telling us. And I said, what do we need to let go of? And I get the Hierophant. Excuse me. I think this is telling us to let go of, like, authoritarian expectations, following the rules. Again, I think this had the full moon in Cancer has to do with mothering and fathering, because the sun's in Capricorn. And I think this is telling us, even on a spiritual level, because the Hierophant is a sort of a spiritual authority, where have you, oh, that's interesting. The poem I was going to share with you is about Father energy, but it's called Heavenly Father. Yeah, okay, this is about, like, you know, sometimes we can't separate our culture's spiritual expectations from how we're raised. And I think this is about moving away from what doesn't feel right to you, even if everybody else goes along with it. Just, you know, it's like, yeah, well, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to believe. No, you go for what suits you, not what suits everyone else or the collective. And then I said, what do we need to move toward? And I got the Knight of Swords. And I'm like, okay, we need to move toward worry. But I think what this is saying, because I clarified it, and I got more swords, the Page of Swords. And he's got some clarification in his hand. He has a scroll. I think what this is telling us is to go ahead and look at don't be afraid to look at and evaluate the areas that come up for you that are painful emotionally. Don't be afraid of that. Move toward that, even if it makes you worried or, you know, like uncomfortable. Well, you need to process it. You need to process it mentally and emotionally. And this will help you. If you process it mentally, it will help you understand it better. Anytime I see a scroll, I think about, you know, wisdom. Not the collective wisdom, not the Hierophant, not the standard wisdom, your own wisdom. So he's helping us to clarify. It's taking a look, an objective look at what comes up emotionally for you. Then I said, what is this whole thing based? What's the challenge? I guess I'm doing reversals because this came out in reverse. The challenge is the Five of Pentacles. That's the people out in the snow, feeling orphaned, feeling alone. But it's in reverse. So our challenge is to move, don't ignore, go ahead and process, but to try to move out of that feeling of being an orphan, like, oh, I didn't get my needs met. Yes, allow yourself to feel that, and then figure out, how do I meet my own needs? I'm not a child anymore. Don't be afraid. You can move away from this. This is a time when we're closing out a cycle with Neptune and Saturn at the tail end of Pisces, and it's time for something new to come in. Then I said, what blesses us? And this is the one where I screamed when the thing fell over and this flew out. So I wasn't sure because it came out in reverse. The Knight of Cups. This is generally someone bringing in an emotional offer, emotional support, but it was in the reverse. So I thought, okay, that doesn't make sense. Why are we blessed by upside down emotional support? And then I thought, well, maybe it's telling us not to wait for someone else to come in and save us. We don't need anyone else to save us. We can save ourselves. So I asked for clarification, and I got 2 cards fell out. They just flew out tonight. They were all over the floor. The Page of Cups came out. Okay, this is a small emotional offering. So, oh look, there's 2 fish. Kind of looks like Pisces, doesn't it? The 2 fish. So this is telling me that we need to nurture ourselves gently, and the universe will help us in that with this full moon in Cancer. It might feel kind of painful, but we've got to feel vulnerable. It's okay. You're going to be taken care of. And this came out too. We can be our own king. And this is, I think, Mars being next to the moon. Mars feels a little bit over vulnerable being next to the moon, and our bodies can feel extra tired, or we could have some physical issues or that longing to be hugged or whatever. But it can also put us in touch with our strength, with our personal will, where we stand up for ourselves and say, oops, sorry. And we say, you know what? I'm the king. I'm the King of Pentacles. He's buried under here. I'm the King of Pentacles. I'm grounded. And I'm the King of Wands. I know who I am. We've just been through a 1.5 years of the North Nodes in Aries. We've been working on self-identity, and the South Nodes in Libra, which is moving away from what others expect us to be. In fact, the nodes change at the end of this month, January 30th. And the north node, they go backwards always. So the north node will move into Pisces and the south node will move into Virgo. We'll talk about that later. But we have been working on self-identity. Who am I? What do I desire? And what do I want to put my energy toward? Okay, then I drew 4 shadow cards, and wait till you see that. I drew, and thank you to Christina at Dog Star Tarot for clarifying these Moonology cards that I bought, and I thought you had to show where the moon really was. No, you just choose a card and it tells you something, and I got a really interesting one tonight. So, these are our shadow cards. The Fool. We're not seeing that we can start over whenever we want to, and that we're coming to the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. And we can start over. We can start afresh in spite of our baggage. You can leave your baggage behind, or you can find a different way to carry it, but you can start over. Another shadow card. What are we not seeing? The Lovers. And I thought, well, is this not seeing that people love us more than we thought? And then for some reason, when I saw the white and the black, I thought, this is about telling us that the darkness and the light always go together. And that wound may always be there, but you can use it to console yourself. You can use it to become stronger and to have compassion for others. So this is about balancing the energies and realizing that it's okay to have that negative whatever that happened from the past or whatever you're carrying, because it makes you stronger and it makes you who you are. You wouldn't be who you are without it. And then I drew the 4 of Cups, another shadow card. And I thought, okay, what are we not seeing? We're not seeing that we're unhappy, but you know what? Sometimes you have to move through the painful emotional energy in order to move out of the doldrums, in order to move away from feeling safe, you know, and you think, oh, I don't want to feel all that nasty emotional stuff. Well, then you're going to be stuck feeling nothing. Sometimes you have to work through the pain in order to get to the good part. I love that these are they're hung like Christmas ornaments instead of fruit. Like they're not real fruit. He's not bearing fruit because he's not allowing himself to feel anything. So don't numb yourself out, okay? And then I was waiting for this. I thought we're either going to get Judgment or the 6 of Cups. We got Judgment. Past, present, and future. I was going to say the past comes back to haunt us, but it's not haunting us. It's teaching us. It's illuminating. There's the full moon. It's illuminating something very powerful in you. Because even though you didn't get your needs met, and who did, and some less than others, there's a part of you that stepped up and nurtured yourself, or you wouldn't be here. So give thanks to that, whatever it was, no matter how small it was. I think I will post that poem later tonight. I didn't want to add it to this because it's too long, but I'll put it on. You can listen to it if you want to. You don't have to. Of course you don't have to. You have to. You absolutely, no. So yeah, this is about looking, the past is going to come up. Whether you like it or not, with the full moon in Cancer, the past is going to come up. And I just feel very strongly that nurturing issues are coming up, because that's what Cancer is all about. You know, the moon rules the tides, Neptune rules the ocean, and it's at the end of Pisces, which is closing out the karmic cycle. And then look what I drew. I can't wait to show you. Okay, these are Moonology cards. I thought I had to draw whichever one was for where the moon is now. And Dog Star Tarot told me, no, you just shuffle them and draw. Ta-da! Full moon in Capricorn, which is, of course, where the sun is now. The end of a tough cycle approaches. Yes. Yes, that's what I'm feeling. It has been tough. It continues to be tough. This is not an easy full moon. I'm not going to lie. And speaking of that, I just tell you one funny thing that happened to me last night. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's funny. I talk to myself. I've basically been in solitary confinement for 3 years. And I'm not in jail. I'm at home. But I'm here alone, and I don't get out much. Okay, so I talk to myself, and I answer myself, because I don't have anybody else to talk to most of the time. So last night I asked myself a question. I don't remember what the question was. It was something about the temperature in here. But I asked myself the question, and then I said to myself, I said, be honest. Yeah. And I'm like, what? It gave me a laugh. Why would you not be honest with yourself? What, am I going to lie to myself? Okay, never mind. Just struck me funny. Anyway, I thought this was so apropos. The end of a tough cycle approaches. Yes, it does. We've got judgment. Okay, so sort of to wrap it all up, it's about vulnerability. Oh, I didn't show you that oracle card I drew. Dolphin spirit. This is my animal spirit deck, which again, Christina sort of encouraged me, not encouraged me, she didn't tell me to use it, but she used it, and I thought, oh, I forgot about those. This and that are true. Yes, this and that are true. That's the feeling I got before I pulled that card. When I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, the light and the dark, they go together. They don't cancel each other out. They walk hand in hand. So maybe you didn't get nurtured as a child. Does that mean your parents didn't love you? Not necessarily. Probably not. They probably did. I think most parents do. I'm not going to speak for all parents, but I'm just saying you can have both. You can say, my parents were very loving, and I had a, you know what, childhood, because they did not know what they were doing. That's true. Excuse me. So this and that are true. We can have the reality of Capricorn and the emotionality of Cancer at the same time. And if you want my opinion, I think the dark and the light are always together. Whatever's physical, which is the Mars here with our whatever's physical, I think it's always spiritual, which is why Mars rules the physical. It also rules the spiritual. It truly does. So they're the same to me, I think, in a very strange way they are. Okay. Please leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing on this full moon. Let me know if this resonated. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. I keep turning this. I can't decide which way I like it. And I will talk to you later. Blessings, everyone. Good night.